gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies, wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is a show by people. Billies our hopes so to needless reason. Nobody feel left dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that will be happen like I got blue skies. And nothing make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Billies, yeah. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play your role, get where you need to. You can tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait? Take your time, call in. It's a show, it no matter even if you're at home. Just call in, call in, call in. WB. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. Another day is here. Wake up, Billies. Wake up, Billies. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na.
Morning and welcome to Wake Up Billies Morning Vibes talk show here on XTV and being simulcasted on Creme Radio for the last Monday at the Gregorian calendar year 2024, Monday, December 30th. I'm Sister YaYa, Marin Coleman, sitting in for Brother Mose Hyde. And Monday morning after Christmas, we hope that wherever on the day, on a good vibrations, that on a ready for stay with for the next 2.5 hours till 9 o'clock this morning. Linking for XTV local channel, Facebook, XTV Belize, YouTube, XTV Belize, make way reason. Enjoy yourself today, and then pathways 9 o'clock, and trust that we're still in a good vibrations. Not the usual lineup. First, we have the weather forecast from the Belize Meteorological Service. Our forecaster is Francisca Wellington. And then we have the first news brief for the morning, prepared by XTV Newsroom under the leadership of our dynamic sister, Marin. And then, we time, we'll open up the phone lines, our reason. So, weather forecast time.
Relatively moist conditions will support cloudy spells today and tonight. A few showers or periods of rain will affect mainly coastal areas this morning, decreasing later today and becoming isolated tonight. Isolated showers will continue to affect the country Tuesday, then will increase Tuesday night. Winds today will be out of the east and northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight. High tides will occur at 10:27 this morning and 9:21 tonight. Low tides follow at 3:06 this afternoon and 4:55 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 73 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 84 along the coast, and 86 inland. The moon will set at 5:20 this evening and the sun at 5:28. In the sargassum forecast, impacts, if any, from sargassum will continue to be minimal, as observations show little to no sargassum over our area. And that's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
The first radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news. The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
A teenager identified as 18-year-old Trayson Gibson succumbed to gunshot injuries he received while socializing with another man on Rivera Street in Belize City after 7 p.m. The other shooting victim, 22-year-old Andrew Welch, is in a stable condition. They were fired upon by two men on motorcycle. The family of 20-year-old Joshua Hall Sunday morning reported that his body was located. The San Antonio resident had gone missing last Monday at around 9 a.m. after signing in at the Corozal police station. The requirement was part of his bail conditions after being released from remand for a charge of burglary. He was found in the Dominguez layout area of the town with gunshot wounds. His family has condemned the police, saying they were unhelpful and did not even assist in the search. They are also pointing fingers at the police for possible involvement in his death. So far, the department has not addressed these accusations. San Ignacio police are investigating the death of 45-year-old Carlos Oscar Luis Lara, a Belizean laborer from Benqueviejo. His body was found Sunday morning after 8 at an area known as Maya Ranch, 6 miles into the Mountain Pine Ridge Road. He had multiple chop wounds. The body was transported to the San Ignacio Community Hospital, where a post-mortem examination awaits. The Belize Agricultural Health Authority, BAHA, on Saturday reported the detection of a suspected case of the New World screwworm in Quiquesarca in southwestern Toledo. BAHA has dispatched technical teams to conduct an investigation, after which it will advise the public on the progress. BAHA and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise are reminding producers, transporters, and the public of preventative and control measures they need to keep following. These include regular inspection of animals, early notification, wound curing, and controlled animal movement. Any case of an infestation of wounds by larvae needs to be reported to the nearest office of BAHA, the ministry, or a healthcare provider. Cases of suspected infestation can also be reported via WhatsApp to 670-7003. The ministry reminds that those who do not follow the regulations outlining preventative measures can face a fine of up to $5,000 or imprisonment of up to 3 years. A press conference will be held today. A woman from Ambergris Cays detained on the suspicion that she deliberately started a fire that led to 3 buildings being destroyed on the south end of the island. 12 families have been displaced as a result. When authorities arrived on the scene on Sea Star Street before 2 Sunday morning, they observed a wooden apartment building on fire. It then spread to another wooden building that was adjacent to the first. A third structure, a metal-framed garage, was eventually destroyed as well. Authorities have reportedly determined that several gas tanks were left leaking in one of the apartments. 2 police officers, identified only as Constables Roberto and Bradley, risked their lives to save 4 children who were sleeping when the fire started, and their parents were reportedly not present. The woman who is detained lived in one of the apartments in the first building that caught fire and had reportedly been threatening harm to other tenants. Also destroyed in the fire were a vehicle and motorcycle that were parked in front of the apartment. The fire is believed to have started in room number 4 of the first apartment building. The tenant, 40-year-old Fermin Witzel, reported hearing the loud hissing of gas from his room upstairs. At the time, he was upstairs in his sister's room. When he went to check and tried to open the door to his room, there was an explosion. He told police that the woman who worked for him had been staying in his room for the last 4 days. Reports are that the chairman of United Village, Samuel Mendoza, is hospitalized in a critical condition after being found unconscious inside the village water reservoir Friday. He and another villager who maintains the reservoir had gone to clean it that day when they were affected by what is believed to be a noxious substance. His companion managed to climb out of the reservoir and call for help before collapsing. They were rushed to the hospital. While the other individual was treated and released, Mendoza remains hospitalized. Residents in Belmopan had to endure an extended interruption in service from Belize Water Services on Saturday. The company announced an unplanned water interruption due to a broken water main after 7 a.m. and said it expected water would be restored by 5 p.m. That was later extended to 8 p.m. However, the company was still late and later informed that for residents of University Heights, Miami Pand, and Las Flores, water would not be restored until midnight. While BWS affirmed that its crew was working diligently to restore water, frustrated residents complained about the monopoly. Others shared advice that as a resident of Belmopan without a VAT, they also have to have buckets of water filled just in case there's an interruption, hinting that these occur often. On Sunday, residents from Las Lomas de las Flores still did not have any water until 4 p.m. An elderly farmer from Mapen Village in the Belize district has passed away. 70-year-old farmer Denton Moody of Sand Hill reported to police that sometime before 11 a.m. on Friday, he and 79-year-old Ernest Williams Funes were riding their horses through a pasture near the riverside in Mapen when Funes fell from his horse and became unresponsive. There were no signs of injuries on Funes' body, which was transported to the KHMH morgue where a post-mortem awaits. And that brings us to the end of this morning's news brief prepared by XTV Newsroom. We will take a quick break and then we'll come back and have a wee time.
Since 1989, the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports.
Welcome back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, WB Monday morning after Christmas for we time. And when I say for we time, that means on a could call in. The phone number is 280-5848. 280-5848. It's about almost 10 minutes to 7:30. I will have one guest by Zoom. One of my new elder conscious brother, Brother Ako Mutota from Trinidad. Anyway, so when it come in on the Zoom, you know, hair white, I guess this morning. The Monday after Christmas, the last Monday of the year, one time of the year when people usually take time and reflect on this past Gregorian calendar year, on themselves, the people we didn't care about, the country, what we there as on people, where we're going, where we land. People who know they with no more because then transition to the spirit realm. Some kind of expectedly because maybe they've been ailing, a number of them, unexpected, young age. State of the world. And what we look forward to in the 2025 Gregorian year. So I'd encourage you to please call and know when time people sit down behind this desk, especially when they're by themselves. I mean, we have to do it because we can't have dead air. It's a morning talk show on television, simulcasted on the radio and live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. But the vibe's more righteous when people call in and engage and share and teach and vent. And so the number is 280-5848. I never come with, I always hopeful that people will call in. And because at the end of the year, reflection is a part of my daily routine, daily care. And one of the things where this Gregorian year was one big part of my life, and it usually is community. And really, this year, focusing more on how relevant healthy communities are. I got down my favorite sanctuary. If you don't know about it, you don't need to go find IG, Facebook, and check out Hummingbird Farm. It's in Indian Creek Village in the Toledo district. It's owned by my sister, my brother, who are doing outstanding work for one thriving, working farm. And they have support with the people who work with them. And that me really want, I'm going to down there for 7 nights and 8 days. And the phone provider where I have no got no phone service in that area. The other phone provider does. I know they call no name. And for me, the whole experience of community, I don't know, I primarily believe city-based. But because, and because of the media reach, meaning XTV, Crumb Radio, and Mandela newspaper, the programming what we do, the work what we do, throughout the country and the world. So anytime I move out of Belize City, it's different. The vibes you get as you move out. I tell a lot of Belizean people could make you feel good. Belizean people make I feel good. They could get on me when they need to get on me, but they could make I feel good. Remember the phone number at 280-5848. 280-5848. So I catch the bus last week Friday. And then you want to talk about the bus service. We need to talk about the bus service. But anyways, we're not talking about it right now. I want to know me. The only bus when I go in South, I ride that James bus line with all its challenges, and it have challenges. And I loyal to James bus line because when we never have no bus to go south, before James even had bus, it had truck. And so I loyal to people who are loyal to we with them challenges. So I only ride James bus. So for even left, for go down south, one of the things I noticed were different than the bus terminal at Belize City is that then they make sure and then they encourage people for buy their ticket before they get on the bus and before they open the gate that the terminal for make you get on the bus, then they check for say if you have your ticket. I never asked the sister for your name, but they had at least sister that were there on point. That like she that drill sergeant, she gonna run no joke about you have to have your ticket to get on the bus and you have to show the ticket. And if just by chance, like somebody where I think never got ticket because they never in a line, you never have no ticket in your hand, and you decide in, I holla somebody, the company's bus don't got ticket, sister, make sure she come on the bus and check, look for people to see who don't got ticket and check the man ticket. Good, the man never happy with me, had things to say about their business. So respect to that improvement where I say that a bus terminal. Now, you know, James bus line usually have good music to play. So one young sister sit down next to me. I would describe her of indigenous lineage. Belizean people for the most part would I say the one mestizo sister. But we had some engagement and my sister, I'm a wow. So a young sister from a village down south, worked down call center at Belize City. It talk Creole, English, Spanish, Quechua Maya, and Mopan Maya. Really good vibration, sister. I only want to leak cold front me there, so I have more luggage than usual because I want to make sure when I travel the farm, get the farm, come back home. So I just wait for Nakali and I just to tell her, no, I got a hummingbird farm, the Indian Creek village in the Toledo district, for rest, relax, rejuvenate, reset. So I just to tell her, no, this year community that me community has just been outstanding this year for me. So I tell her to make community experience going down south for who just to join me. So we get on the bus, now 2 buses left. They had an express and they had a regular. And I had 2 people wanting to drop off books to me at the Belmopan bus terminal. When we get the agriculture showgrounds, they make an announcement that the bus not going in that terminal. I think maybe 5 people there on the bus, so me going, that must have been my pants, and until I make them come off of the bus and go to the next bus, which throw me right up because I got people who left books for me. Well, one person come and back and get a book, but the other person said they want to try me in the first roundabout to give me the books. Anyways, so now, you know, the bus, it me cold on the bus, and the lead sister next to me have on like, more like one summer blouse, very sheer, short sleeve, it shoulder out, so I could say feel cold next to me, but not much I could do for him. Anyways, we move up on the agriculture showgrounds. The driver did stop for could get me a book and give thanks to my brother Giovanni Pinello. You know how long I look for this book. I don't know how long Harlan Wagnam they look for it too, but I get for me one. This book is called Belize Junior History, and I think I get introduced to this book, if I'm not mistaken, as early as Standard 2 or as late as Standard 4, the All Saints. And I have always loved that book. So I had to chase the book. So give thanks, I get a book. Rolando Coleman from the Institute for Social and Cultural Research. Thank God for the support of UBAD Educational Foundation in 2024. So I go in the farm, I have to get my books there, right? Anyway, so we start to go down the hummingbird. So I look for the lead sister and I tell her, you don't feel cold? You don't got nothing in your luggage where you could put on? And then she said, I have one blanket up top. I said, this way I never asked me to get the blanket. My goodness, look how long you feel cold, sir. I get a blanket for her, and it's how far the community love coming. She said, you could share my blanket with me. I'm like, really? She said, yes. And that one, right? And I have a blanket like it too. I actually had it, I carried down the one. It's soft, like kind of slippery fabric, but it's warm. When it's me and my sister. So I tell her, we have to take one picture together. So she say, okay then, I should have me, I don't have permission to share this picture, but based on the vibes where I get from the sister, I don't think the sister mind if I share a picture. But I may just, for me, I again, I had to reflect on community love. For me, in 2024, I will send the picture to you now, Christy. And the sister had good reasoning with me. I was very, you know, sometimes we feel like we, especially as we grow and mature and age, that young people not really connected to what we consider the serious issues of the country. So we talk about money, you know, but there's me and the sister. I share a blanket with me. And so we know what I say, you know, we're not a look, we have budget reading in a March, right? Most Belizeans now have no idea what is in a budget, like none. And there's so many things to have conversations about. But in the past 2 months, I got and I looked on budget. I think the budget I'm from 2014 or 2015. And then I got and looked on the recent budget for 2023, or 2024, 2025. No, I looked on the one from 2014, 2015, and then I got and looked on one for 2024, 2025. And you know, I believe how much they cut and paste, just straight up cut and paste from our old budget into a new budget. And I'm like, Belizean people, we don't need to pay attention. Like, we just take anything what I shove down for we throat, especially when it comes to free money. We really need for the better. I know I guilty of it because I don't do it in my personal life. So, you know, that's what I said, the personal is political. So if I know they pay attention to a serious budget in my personal life, then how I won't have connection to the national budget. And so we really have to get serious about it, about the management of money, about saving money, about what we spend our money on, about who we spend we money with, especially people who are dishonoring and disrespectful to we, and then people who are honoring and respectful to us. So anyway, I mean, at least sister. Get the farm, vibes good. It so happened that my sister, my brother, they put up one new touch farm, one of them building. And so they had my crew and my brother, and so I watched them for like 2.5 days. Just the unity and togetherness of them, Maya, youths and elder, was just rich for watch. I mean, they had one youth, there's one young youth. I don't want to say age, but one young youth. The work with them, they talk mostly Maya. I don't know if I think it may be catching Maya most of the talk, but scatter between the Maya, the Irahian and the talk in a Creole words, right? And so I was just to watch how the process, and you know, I asked them, take about, must say, I don't know, maybe 10 days, because they have to wait between you're not going to get the cocoon leaf pan new moon. But I think between full moon and maybe half moon, it's like over maybe like 650 leaves. And they explained the process to me. And remember now, African people also do touching. And I think before there was a hurricane in Gales Point, Manatee, they have old pictures that most of the homes in Gales Point, Manatee, that may touch houses. And I know that one lot of we that believes, not think about African descendants, racialized as black people, living in thatched houses in Belize. We mostly associate it with Maya people, because we could still see that now in our what I call contemporary times. The number 280-5848. Oh, I have to thank Kim Grab and Go. Thank my brother Keller for bringing me tea this morning from Mahogany Street. I love our community. Anyway, so observe the brother, then put up the roof, most of the roof, then reason with me about the process. I tell her my brother Shish, that was real community person, the hummingbird farm. And then I get to experience Pine Hill community, that one Mennonite community on the Toledo Road. So my brother-in-law do transactions with me. So we gone there, that midday, 23rd I think, the 23rd morning we gone there. And so I'm kind of surprised because they do transaction right the roadside. there are a number of Maya brothers there, different ages. Then can do transactions with the Mennonite people as well. And then they eventually come out with battery gone dead, so somebody give away and jump. It was, I think, I don't know, I think that Ketchimaya, but I think you say, I think morning, at least how I remember it, how it sung to me, that juice. I think that's how you say good morning in a Ketchimaya. So that's one of my new words in where I learn. If I wrong, somebody could call and correct me. Anyways, we got Penny, PG tongue, and I mean hustling and bustling. It's one of my favorite places. Now, that the first time, the only market I know that the one with the water side, that's the only market I know. So the first time I want to experience the market with the inner center Penny PG tongue. And so again, I do one short video, and I just say, this is interesting, right? Penny tongue PG is known as a Garifuna community, started, and we know Maya people are the original people of this country. But in the early 1800s, and that's where the name Penny come from. Because Penny, I was told, in a Garifuna mean point, and the tongue, the between 2 points. And when the original Garifuna people gone there, they don't talk Creole or English, they talk Garifuna, so the place named Penny. So what I find interesting when I gone to the new market is majority, if not all, the vendors are Maya people. Like majority or all, which is, you see one or two identifiable black faces at the time when I recorded, which I thought was an interesting observation. But the vibes me good. I don't remember if I get plantain chips, but the ripe plantain, which tastes very different from the green plantain chips for fry. When I'm going to come back, I stop in a Belmopan. I don't know when plantain chips gone up, but to my knowledge, plantain chips are for $1. Christy or Harlan, you don't know how much for plantain chips at Belize City? How much? Bam said it. Harlan said that Belize City plantain chips are for $2. So I stick out my mouth, but I buy the Belmopan bus terminal. And I ask the Indian vendor, how much are the chips? He said $1.75. I said, $1.75? Chips are up for $1 number. He said, sure, that gone a long time. Me never know. So chips gone up. Okay, so that's one of the things I enjoy, my plantain chips when I'm down there. So coming back into going to Hummingbird Farm, we stop again the Pine Hill because my brother-in-law for pick up where he gone for. So when we stopped, they had a young Mennonite guy there. Must about, look like he could be 17, 18. And I did listen to her, they talk to my brother in a raw Creole. And I am just wowed. I mean, I don't really know no Mennonite people. I'm not close to Mennonite people like that. So then people of interest if they cross my path, depending upon where they go on with me at the time. But what was interesting, so he said to my brother, he said, hurry up, go and come back, cause I'm hungry and I want to bring something for eat. So I turned around and I just like, you know how familiar he is with my brother? And then he done the talk Creole already, so it catch my attention. But then it do like, you know how in a Creole, and I just said about African thing, you know it's an African thing, I just say, how we just say like, hurry, hurry, hurry. And so it do like that, and I hope I grab my camera and take a picture. I'm like, oh my gosh. So my brother said, I did out all day. How I going to get something for eat? And I did out all day. He said, okay, bring anything for eat. So my brother gone and carry back something for her. And so that was different. And then get the farm, and at some point, Christmas Eve would be the Tuesday, because Christmas is Wednesday. And I think I find out, I don't remember if the Monday night or Sunday night, I found out that there's a wake down the road, and anybody who know me know I love a wake. But I found out about a week late. Or said I'm gone, but that when I found out that for a whole week, my heart just dropped. And it was the wake for the mom and the son who was murdered along with the husband and the father at the family out of Monkey River. The daughter's dad lived right down the road at Indian Creek, and it so happened that Christmas Day, we had to make a run. And when we make the run, that then I see that then they have the funeral. That morning, I just, it was so, so sad to sit in two coffins in that yard. And it's, anyways, so there was that experience. Oh, and then our next thing is that XTV, the Saturday morning, the Saturday what I may be, oh no, I can't see without these glasses, no, would have been the 21st. So the 21st, some people from the Caribbean had one third webinar for solidarity with Haiti, and XTV broadcasted it. But I know I'm in the down south and I don't have internet access, so I had to find internet because besides supporting the webinar, I had a 5-minute solidarity idea, words, thoughts for share. So I need internet access. So the option that me either go to Spice Farm or go to the Big Falls Community Hub. But Spice Farm closed 5 o'clock and I schedule the meeting scheduled from 4 to 6 police time. It was to talk for sure, you know, my community experience going down south, outside of Belize City. So I wait for the call in 280-5848. Anyways, so I call Big Falls Community Hub. The person who answered the phone make I know they're on bus and they can't talk long. So I asked if it open for Saturday, but I wasn't open because I don't want to use on the internet, on the space, and the person said, I'm sorry, we not open for Saturday. So I said, okay then, no problem. And just when I may hang up, the person said, what your name? And I said, hey, YaYa. And she said, YaYa Marin. And I said, yes. She said, oh, YaYa, you could get a key. I'll make you use the space. And I'm like, really? And she said, yes, just call me. We'll work it out. My heart just gets so full, right? So my brother, I came and pick up the key. I got in the Big Falls Community Hub. And that they were part, we had the webinar. I mean, I tell people the love, the kindness, the thoughtfulness of Belizean people, just like that just make I feel rich every single time. So I said to the sister, I said, listen, make we nurture this link. If Big Falls got anything we want airtime and we could give it an airtime, we got each other number now, make we stay in communication and we are linked. So she said that they have one serious Facebook page where they have connections from Facebook. One of the things where YUB Educational Foundation want to do for the Gregorian 2025, we're going to open our Facebook page. So for people who pay attention, Sunday Review, which is the only news review talk show in the country, produced and hosted by myself, out of XTV, simulcast and Crumb Radio. With Facebook page lock off for, I think, March 2024, when Facebook gone down. I mean, I remember the password and I just let it go. In my heart, but I let it go. So I've been off Facebook for a period of time. Coming back, only be within the capacity of sharing, connecting with the work where YUB Educational Foundation do, which is about the liberation of African descendants, racialized as Black people in Belize and the diaspora. And we connect with similarly aware African descendants in the Caribbean region, in the so-called Central America, Abayalas, and internationally and on the continent of Africa. So we could look forward to that in 2025. So yeah, and then I'm gonna walk, and you know, besides needing to get fit, well, you know what, UEF is leading this protest. Today is actually day 118 of the protest to hold the Ministry of Education accountable with UEF's collaboration to create a national hair policy or law to ensure, one, that all Belizean children, but especially African descendants racialized as Black children, have a right to attend any school that Belize with any hairstyle within choose, inclusive and a natural hair. And two, that the second human rights not continue to get violated, was say if you not follow the school rules of colonial European people, then you can't get no education at the school because you have to follow these colonial rules. So the two violations are Belizean students being denied access to education because of how they choose to wear their hair. So that protest will continue, and we'll upscale it in 2025, but in 2025 until I know what that upscale. Again, the number is 280-5848, and we have one guest at 7:30, after the 7:30 break. 7:30 we have one break, and we should have 2 cents come. So, yeah, so I gonna walk on the road. They never know, like long walking. Because I know I want to do more walking, I have been intentional in walking more. And I usually walk with my phone. But, oh, caller, thank you for call. Good morning, caller. Thanks for calling. Talk to me.
Good morning, sister.
Morning, brother.
Always nice to go on function and all the information you're gathering. You touched me just now with what trauma we're still carrying around, mentioning about the laugh or the lives from Mango Creek. You just open up our trauma here in Belmopan again.
Aye, brother.
On what happened a couple of years now with the Marin brothers and the white civilians. And we also have 2 other members of our community, Michael Williams, a.k.a. Itza, Mr. Orlando Castellano. We also lost their lives now, and I've been calling for the past year, trying to keep everybody sensitive because we've become so insensitive to laugh for life in Belize, and especially seeking justice, no? So, my call mainly is, to make people not forget, that we are a society who still love and care to each other, majority of us, and we can't be so insensitive that we make people's lives and crime just go like that, no? One of my big issues is that we have the accused person, whether they may say he's guilty or not, but we have him incarcerated, and there's no report from the police department saying anything about the other cases that he's involved with, no? To be specific, the Ahmad case, where we even have a living witness where blurted out in the courts what exactly happened, and like we totally disregard this thing. I would have thought that having this person incarcerated, and even his uncle, who was very influential with the post that he held in the police department in terms of intimidating people and stuff, wasn't in that position again to do that. I would have thought that the police would have taken it upon themselves to investigate these other murders more thoroughly, get more people where would feel more comfortable now saying what they know or what they've seen or whatever to contribute to the closing of these cases. But it looks like this one case is going to be the big movie, and then at the end, when it seems like we're not going to get justice, this guy will just get exonerated from the other crimes that he's involved with, no? So my call this morning basically that will make the police department know that with all the statistics that they could give all here, it means absolutely nothing, because there's still a lot of work that has to be done and should be done to bring justice and satisfaction to the family, or the families, I should say, because I could just list off a bunch of names and
Excuse me.
the 10 fingers they would be enough to count the amount of life lost of this person's involvement, no? So,
Allegedly.
allegedly, right? But like I said, there's so much evidence, so much things that could be carried, be inclusive into other cases that the policeman may even look into it, man. And it's sad because then it makes you feel like the collusion may happen and like there's no justice anymore in Belize. And at times, not to justify it, but at times I could see why people take the law into their own hand and we have vigilante justice, because nobody will sit right knowing that somebody would take their family member, and no one, 2, 3 family members, and at the end of the day, the case will be just about which liar hotter than the next liar, and it not be about the actual evidence. Yeah, just be about which liar more prepared and have all like eyes that my T's crossed and talk eloquently in the courts, and at the end of the day, the case going based on, instead of justice, the case going based on who put off the best show. So, like I said, I've been calling area. I try to make it consistent every month. I try to place a call, giving people a reminder, because it's not only about the Ramnaris matters, it's about the other people that will have their lives in this country at the hands of police officers, the people who are supposed to trust. People might wonder why or what benefit I get from calling in. I have none, other than the fact that I'm very fearful of having somebody like that run, because I speak from experience, YaYa. I had a very, very close call, and I only believe that the Almighty Father take me out of that lion's mouth, and me and my wife never lose for me life that night when we were accosted by the same group.
Remember?
No, I had to tell you about the same group where they had to kick off of the police force because they were involved in a plane landing and drug what's not right. So I just want people really to understand how the judicial system they get run. It's not being run based on the evidence and the work the policeman is doing and that kind of thing there.
Make I ask you this, Stumpy, and I'm here more say it too, and I support and so I say it now, that I really value you taking the time, the effort, the risk to keep this community concern front and center by placing the call once a month. And I know that only the people want to save the people. So let's say somebody from every family will have questions about one death, especially where the police department is concerned. Or somebody close to that family would I say, okay, once a month I want to call it every major house, one major house. People have to start to own their interests, and whole state policymakers, decision makers, politicians, heads of department accountable. So you know a perfect example, brother. And sometimes you could feel like, well, what difference did it make? They know they hear me. But I just said, no stop. No stop. What I recommend to brother, like you could put today's date, but make one record of every time you call, and if you could get somebody to edit it, and then every 3 months or 6 months, you send one written letter to the cabinet members, prime minister, deputy prime minister, head of police department, and say, listen, for so many, just document what it is that you're doing. Because they could always say, well, me never hear you, me never knew you had a concern, you never inform me that you had a concern. So we cross every T and dot every I, but not stop. And I really encourage Belizeans. I mean, no care about no people, no people lives that no make people. But the next thing that's stumpy, you know how we go. With a song, you would have song pray about it and left it to the creator people.
And you know that exactly what I was coming to, YaYa, that the family, they have, if anybody know the family on both sides, the Marin and the Pascato family, if anybody know them, they are known in our community. They are a church going people. They are the people who are involved in any folly, anything. So my standing up, basically, that will represent them, because on several occasions, the family try show strength by coming out to the courthouse, but you could see the fear in them people, YaYa. Them people are afraid. And I not tell you no lie, I afraid too. I fearful. My fear is that when this person get out, you understand, my life will have to change again. You understand? I will have to stop going to my farm, because that's the place where you're going to accost me and chance me. You understand? For no reason. Up to this day, I gone back to internal affairs to try to get the report that I made. You know what they tell me? The report isn't there. When the officer left that desk that took the report, he took it with him.
What?
So, yes, he crazy, YaYa. He crazy. I cannot get hold of this report. And I know the police officers name everything. I saw him in traffic one day and I had to stop and tell him, man, when I really worthless, I gone and look for the report and when I so worthless to try to protect this guy, when I say when I don't have it, and then you sit in front of me and watch me, a big grown man, cry. I know I explained to her why I cry, YaYa, because I never tears a fear, but my tears are rage, because I cannot believe that this guy could have become and do me and my wife what he did, handcuff us, stand up on my head, push a rifle in my ear, and I didn't have the one that pushed the rifle in my ear. You know, the only one that is still the wrong that I'm apart, right? And when he watch me, I want to say he's fearful because he don't have the colleagues there anymore. Because all the rest get fired for the land plane, right? But the thing is, YaYa, that you said earlier, I tell you the family they come out. But now the family they come out. The Pascato family especially, they're coming out. The Ramnariz family isn't a big family because Mr. Ramnariz was originally from Trinidad. They're not born Belizean, but his wife is, right? And then people that are family in a free community. You understand? So we know what type of people. There are people who are in a Jehovah Witness. They come to your house to bring the word. You understand? So I want people to understand that what kind of people that take my life. This is everyone who, by the way, involved in no street business or no kind of underground thing. You understand? But they knew something very important about this officer and what he did. You understand? So that's why. And it's really sad, YaYa, that this thing, like I said, right? And it goes for a lot of other cases where I've been noticing that, and maybe you make the point that when the people in need to start to come out, and we need support, man, because I tell you, I'm out there and I feel yes, because I know it still have elite tentacles there out there, so we could do things for our way. He used to assist when the police officers and they dipped into us, so to speak, right? Because I know who the elite crowd are, so, but man, I'm saying if all of we get together, they can't kill all of we, YaYa. Especially if we defend the truth. And this is what we need. We need people out there too who represent the community, people who are sitting as representatives of our community too. You understand? Because at the end of the day, with politicians, and so they're just representatives. You know, they work for we. So at the end of the day, we have concerns in our community. We need with area rep to get involved too. Because the thing will only get out of hand if people realize, you realize how frequent murders happen. We had two young men with just get shot. One of them, I think, passed away, right? You know how frequent murders they happen in the Belize City. You know why it boils down to? Because we become so insensitive. We don't worry about what it happened next door to anymore. We're only concerned, we're barely concerned about what happened in our home. That's why we lose the children then to society. You know, so we really need that support, like I said, for people of substance to come out, people with we like say high places, people with positions were influential. We need people to show their face for and know that I feel this kind of way about my community. I want to see that my community is a community where I don't have to fear my children going out and they are losing their life. And worse than losing their life, I don't want to know nothing but what happened and I get no justice and I want to live life to say, man, I lose my picnic and I don't know what happened.
I will have to go to break stumpy, but what I recommend, the next court, if you know when they're going to court again, like the day before, call WUB and alert the community so that people know.
Yeah, we try as much as we could, and I tell you what we face with a lot of deception. You know, they are saying come at Belmopan, then they say they are Belmopan, they are the East City. Yeah, they are the East City, then they are Belmopan, and just like that, right? And the thing of it is that they said a high-profile case. That's why they have to use a lot of police officers. But even so, we should not be using up our resources to protect somebody like that. We think we should actually use all our resources. The top policemen there, I think, escorted by 3 vehicles. They said, why? You know any other prisoner when they deal with like that? So that's something so we watch carefully. And there's more to this story than people actually know. So, like I said, we lose Michael Williams, right? It's the person with the accused, with the said do it, when they left from killing Michael Williams, 2 witnesses, whether they on the scene they get shot too. Nobody did tell you, or they tell you, by a room, they talk to the witness, and the witness, they see one man about 5 feet tall, or this, that. Their witnesses they get shot because they saw who it was. Thank God they've been dead, right? But Michael Williams did. 2 witnesses get shot. And shortly after that, because the Marin brother knew about the whole scenario there, make a report to the police. The police they leak back the information and that's how they could have begun and execute the people. So that's some I tell you, man. People better wake up because his Imperial Manifesto is something that the United Nations, right, the League of Nations meeting, he said, today are me, but tomorrow are me, you know. So, yeah, we might feel the mourn and the cry and feel this laugh, but Uno could be in the same position. And the only way Uno could ensure that Uno is in the same position, that make we get together and make sure that justice for all the brothers there.
Respect, brother.
Right?
Big respect. Thanks for the call. We have to go to break.
Yes, sister, every time.
One love, I'll see you soon. You know we have to go have a community bashment for the new year.
Yeah, I know you have good.
We have to have a community bashment for the new year. You know the Miguel's got the back.
Yes, man. You don't know we go with New Zealand. Well, we don't call it party, but we have get together where we usually get together. And you do a part of the family. So you better, yeah.
At the core.
Well, you are comfortable.
Love it, brother. Tell Mrs. Star, say morning. One love, brother.
Yes, man. I just to drop by out of work.
Morning, Steph.
Listen to you early this morning.
All right, then. One love. Take care.
All right, man. Have a blessed day, sister.
You too, brother.
Thanks, WUB every time to allow me to send me 2 cents, right?
One love every time, brother.
Bless up more than all the other brothers.
Thanks, brother. One
Yes,
love.
sir. And sisters, yes, sir.
One love,
All right.
guidance.
Yeah, man.
Break time, when you come back and have a guest. 2 cents come. Welcome back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes for this morning, Monday, December 30th, 2024, the last Monday of this Gregorian year. And we have a guest with us. It's my first time, but it not be the last. Believe that. All the way from Trinidad. Not the whole right now, but they're still from Trinidad. Let's welcome our brother, Elder Ako Mutota. Morning, brother.
Morning, Sister YaYa, and thank you for
I don't have no earpiece, Harlan. I tell you. One moment, brother Ako. Elder Ako, I can't hear you. One second. Go ahead, Elder Ako.
Yeah, you hearing me?
Because, well, most people know you unless they may listen to the newscast Thursday before last. Yeah, then they may hear you because you were the main organizer for the Solidarity in IT webinar. The third, we had one in October, one in November, one in December. And XTV had interviewed you. So tell who the Elder Ako from Trinidad.
Well, first is Trinidad and Tobago. We like our little sister island, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. So we always include Tobago and in our definition of our country. So Trinidad and Tobago. And so again, thank you for having me on this morning. And I am from Trinidad and Tobago. I have been involved in cultural, social, and political activities for a number of years, having been a member of what was called the Black Power Movement then, and continue to do work in that area despite my disconnection from the organization that led the movement. So I am a Trinidad and Tobago citizen, and I love my country. And therefore, a large part of what I did over the last 50 years was because I truly love my country and the Caribbean. So thank you, and that is my brief introduction. I don't know if I've said enough about myself, or do you want me to say more?
You're good. There are a lot more about you. It's important, first off, Elder Ako usually in the space like this. You know, maybe hear a voice, but you don't usually get to say. So no say, I ask for a lot of especially with somebody who dedicate most of their life to doing the work for the liberation of African people. He's one of the, it's so absolutely important as African descendants racialized as black people, especially in the region called the Caribbean, which the majority African descendant population, that one was still there, because if we up to the European, all the isms and schisms, we weren't there, and two, that we have communication with each other. What's absolutely critical as we move forward is that we're in communication with one another. And because I always say, I'm a kinfolk, then I'm a kinfolk, is that it's aware African people who know themselves to be African people, whose worldview is an African worldview, and who have one track record of being courageous in holding themselves, for we people and people in power and position accountable, especially when it comes to the oppression of African descendants racialized as black people. The reason why Elder Ako there is because we worked together with Solidarity with IT, and he pitched an idea, and I said, oh, this song, I could get Brother Ako for be, co-host with me for Sunday Review. Brother Ako no sign on to that yet, but I work with him. But this Sunday, which would be January 5th, which will be the first Sunday Review for 2025, Elder Ako and myself will be hosting and co-hosting Sunday Review. And our guest, no stranger, will be Brother Nigel Westmass from Guyana. Brother Nigel says, Elder Ako. One of the things, Elder Ako, share with people why you felt that it was important that we have public conversations as relates to things that are happening in the Caribbean will have one direct impact for African descendants racialized as black people. Why you feel that there's a need for us to have that conversation?
Well, let me begin by quoting a Calypsonian from Trinidad, Black Stallion. And one of the lines he said, we made the same trip on the same ship. Right, so there is that historical connection with all of us, people of African descent in the Caribbean, called West Indians and various other names, right? Unfortunately, that connection is being what I call, challenged by policies led by our politicians, implemented by our politicians. So we have a situation where we know more about what is happening in North America, Europe, the United Kingdom, and we don't know what is happening with our sisters and brethren in the Caribbean. I remember during I said this not too long ago in an interview I did. There was during the colonial era, there were ships, the Federal Maple and the Federal Palm, that transported people throughout the then British Caribbean, right? People and goods. And in the post-independence period, we do not have that kind of connection. Even the airlines that's supposed to connect us sometimes, they don't fly to some areas. They sometimes they exist, sometimes they don't. I know Liat was one, and now Liat didn't exist, and now I think it's back again. So there has been this attempt by the governments of the region to literally separate the people of the Caribbean, even though they talk about things like CARICOM and CARIFESTA. These things have not really meant anything to the Caribbean people in terms of free movement. So you have a situation just recently where Jamaicans going to Barbados were being terrorized. Jamaicans coming to Trinidad were being terrorized. You have a situation with the Haitians. Throughout the Caribbean, Haitians are being terrorized. There is no regulation of any steady policy of migration as regards to Haiti and any other part of the Caribbean. So here we talk about CARICOM as this place for Caribbean unity. And what has happened in the last, 50 years, I think, or more since CARICOM has been in existence, it has not been a vehicle to unite the people of the Caribbean. The unity of the Caribbean is from the ground up, so that people in the Caribbean move around and talk to each other on their own, sometimes in regular manner, sometimes in irregular ways. And so, to me, it is very important that we have these discussions so that we all know what is happening. So, for example, as you mentioned so many times, when you come on our webinars or things like that, people forgot Belize is part of the Caribbean. We just forgot. And we don't even mention Belize. All right. And so these things need to be corrected. Like, for example, I just sent you something there. A state of emergency.
1 second,
was
Elder
declared in
Akko.
Trinidad.
Christy, you have the state of emergency press release you could show, please. Go ahead, Elder Akko. I want to make sure we show it.
You want me to read it? You want me to read it out?
Yeah, you can. And then we'll show it on the screen as well.
Yeah, let me read it out for you. Yeah, so this is just happened. I think there is a press conference in the next 5 minutes by the Prime Minister to explain why. But let me just read it out for you so you understand what is happening. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay, we have with us Elder Akko, Trinidadian and Tobago citizen.
So the letter for the press release, okay, the notice from the president's office, right, as you see it here, where a proclamation, whereas it is enacted by section 8(1) of the Constitution, that the president may from time to time make a proclamation that a state of emergency exists, and that section 8(2) of the Constitution, that the president is satisfied that action has been taken or is immediately threatened by any person of such a nature and so extensive a scale as to be likely to endanger the public safety. I, Christine Kangaloo, President, as aforesaid, in pursuance of the powers conferred upon me by section 8(1) of the Constitution, hereby declare that I'm satisfied that a public emergency has risen as a result of the occurrence of action that has been taken or is immediately threatened by any person of such a nature and so on extensive a scale as to be likely to endanger the public safety. A state of emergency exists now in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and is signed by the president and so on, right?
Thanks,
That's
brother.
a notice from the president, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the face of it, it is saying that it is crime. That I understand that there was a mass shooting in a part of Trinidad called Laventille, which is one of the crime-ridden areas in the country. And again, an area that has been the prime support of the ruling party, which is supposed to be an African party because that's the narrative and the historical legacy that it promotes. And it is the most downtrodden, poverty-stricken areas in the country. Even though they have voted for the party that rules the country for close to 60 years now. And the conditions of those people have not improved, right? Even when there was a landslide lost by the ruling party, the People's National Movement, or PNM as we call it, they lost 35-1 or I think, yeah, 34-2 in one of the elections. They lost, of the 36 seats then, they lost 34, right? One seat this was questionable in South. But that particular area, Laventille, has remained from 1956 to now a bulwark of the ruling party, right? It is the most downtrodden, poverty-stricken area in the country. And this is how our leaders betray our people, right? So here you have now, based on what we're seeing, and I have information that there are other factors, right, that may be involved. But based on what is said and what is being declared by the government, because of crime and a mass shooting, the conditions exist for a state of emergency. Now, a state of emergency is like a state of siege. There may be a curfew in which people's movements will be limited, in which speech will be limited, and certain kinds of activities like that. You know, now you have to understand that this is supposed to be the country in the English-speaking Caribbean, which is supposed to be the richest country based on its oil and gas wealth, right? And yet, these are the conditions you have existed. So it's not a question of wealth. It's not a question of the country doesn't have money. A lot of us like to state that based on the conditions in Trinidad, Trinidad is like Haiti with money, right? The amount of crime, the dysfunction, and the corruption and all of that kind of thing. So here we are now with a state of emergency in Trinidad and Tobago. I understand that there are other factors involved and not just crime, that there are some internal rumblings within the ruling party in which certain decisions are being challenged as regarding who will inherit the party as the current prime minister seeks to exit after, if not this term, his next term of office. So I understand that that is a contributory factor, an internal political wrangling, and that has contributed to the state of emergency, while the decision that was used is the issue of crime. So that's what I have heard from sources.
Is it the first SOE being called in Trinidad and Tobago?
No, it is not. A few years ago, I think in 2011, under the last government before this one, which was the opposition, a limited state of emergency was called in crime-ridden areas. However, the most severe state of emergency was the one called at the height of what was called the Black Power movement in 1970. And I lived through that, and it was not an easy time. The movement of the people, fed up and frustrated with the slow progress of the post-colonial leaders, what you call evolved into a revolutionary movement. I was part of that organization that led the movement. And at a critical point in April of 1970, the Trinidad and Tobago Army mutinied in support of the people. The government had called the army to brutalize the people, and junior officers in the army revolted and locked up their senior officers and so on. And they refused to follow the lead of the government to attack the people who were in their thousands in the streets. And so a state of emergency was declared. People were arrested, including many members of my organization, and they were incarcerated on a place in Trinidad, an island off the main island called Nelson Island, which was the same island that the British incarcerated all our anti-colonial leaders in 1937. And so the leaders of the movement were arrested for 9 months on that island. When they were released in late 1970, shortly after that, another revolt occurred, and in 1971, another state of emergency was declared. So those would have been the most, what you may call, severe states of emergencies that would have been declared in Trinidad and Tobago. And people were killed, as I said, people were arrested. There was a dusk to dawn curfew. You couldn't be on the streets from 6 to 6. Um, the speech, if you couldn't assemble more than 2 or 4 people couldn't assemble, you'd be arrested by the security forces. Speech was curtailed. In fact, there was an act that was about to be implemented called the Public Order Act, which was so severe that if you put your hand around your neck, like in terms of like slashing, you could be arrested for just doing that. That was how severe the Public Order Act was. But there was an outcry from the population, and despite the state of emergency, there was protest. People were in the nighttime hanging out posters, risking being shot, and that protest led to sectors of that act being retracted. But the point is that these draconian acts and these what you call repressive measures have always been used by the state. And what we have to understand is that the state, as we know it from the colonial time to now, it has not changed much. This is why when we speak of our independence, which we got our so-called independence, we got in 1962, we call it flag and briefcase independence, because nothing changed. The laws on the books, I mean, up to just recently, the colonial law, which said that you couldn't beat a drum, right? It was just removed. In fact, it was used all in the 1950s and 60s to arrest people who were playing steel band at a certain time of the night. So we in the Caribbean, all of these states that have independence and flag and an anthem, that's what we have, a flag, anthem, and anthem independence. Our laws, our parliamentary procedures, our governmental procedures and organizations, they are all linked to the British, right? We have not removed most of these things, and so the system itself has failed the people. Yeah? It has not encouraged greater participation, which is what we advocated for in my organization. Actually, we wrote a book about it. We wrote a book called a booklet called Conventional Politics or Revolution. And in that book, we argued whether parliamentary democracy or so-called parliamentary democracy as it exists now is relevant to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Does it provide employment? Does it provide water? Could you imagine where I live in Trinidad, I get water about 3 days of the week, right? But yet I have to pay water rates.
What year was that?
And those are and this is an island.
And what year
right?
was that? That's not still happening.
Huh?
Is that still happening?
I am telling you, it's happening as I speak now. Yes, it happens. We get
3
water
days
3
for the
days
week.
of the week. Sometimes for the week you don't get water. This is why you go in Trinidad and you see water tanks behind everybody's house, because the water supply is sporadic at best. There are certain parts of the country in the urban areas where you have a 24-hour water supply. But I live in the rural part of Trinidad. And the part of Trinidad I live in, incidentally, is the wealthiest part of Trinidad. That's where the oil and gas is. And yet, we don't have a steady supply of water. You understand? So you have all of these conditions where the system of governance does not deliver to the people. It doesn't provide, right? Our public health system is a mess. It's a hit and miss situation. And this is what you have happening. So the economic system that we have serves not the majority of the people, but it serves the minority, a business elite, and the multinational corporations. So our oil industry is totally dominated by foreigners. And our commercial sector is dominated by a small elite group of Syrian Lebanese. In fact, it caused a big stir a few years ago when this guy, the guy who was does the cooking show, I don't remember his name now, but he died. And he came to do an interview in Trinidad and interviewed one of those those people from the Syrian Lebanese community, and the guy said that they are 1% of the population, but they influence, they control a significant sector of the economy. And until he said that, people didn't realize what was happening. So it caused a lot of uproar in the society, but nothing has changed. So the 1% still dominates our economy, right? And the rest of the masses are living in poverty, right? In questionable circumstances, and so on and so forth. So crime is going to be a result of these things. Wherever people are disenfranchised economically, politically, and otherwise, you are going to have crime because they are alienated from the political, economic, and social processes. And this is the result. In fact, the late leader of my organization, Makanda Daga, made a speech which was criticized because we fought a number of elections and we lost. And in one of the speeches, in the post-election speech, he said, if there is not change and if there is not a certain kind of change, blood is going to flow. And the media, unfortunately, twisted this statement to mean that we were going to inflict a certain kind of violence in the society, right? But his words were predictive in the sense that blood is flowing now, right? We have something like 700 murders in Trinidad during the course of the year, right? And then today, I understand, or last night, another number of people died. So these are real situations that are happening in the country. And we in the rest of the Caribbean, if I didn't tell the people of Belize this morning, you may not have known this was happening in Trinidad at the moment. We are not in a very good situation.
I just realized I'm going to take one break 8 o'clock. And I didn't. So wrapped up in your storytelling. But excellent points, and Belize have had our share of state of emergency, or SOEs as we call them. But we have to take one quick break, and we'll come right back. Stay tuned. We're with Elder Ako Motota from Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Sister YaYa holding over for Brother Most High this morning and tomorrow. We have as our guest via Zoom from Trinidad and Tobago our elder Ako Mutota. And he was having the conversation, Trinidad and Tobago is implementing a state of emergency due to criminal actions. And so Brother Ako made a talk about that. And I totally agree with what Brother Ako said about the importance of people in the Caribbean having direct conversation publicly with one another for better understand, flesh out, clarify, give one different version, or we get from corporate media, which is very much misleading, so that we could, get a sense of what really happened in these Caribbean countries. So in 2025, we want to see more Elder Ako Mutota as often as they want to on Sunday Review, and you see more people from within the Caribbean when known to be credible and genuinely represent the interests of working class people. So one example of this, Elder Ako, Belize have one string of SOEs. Recently this year, one state of emergency would have generally last 30 days. This time they extended to 90 days, and if I recall correctly, one of the reasons why first off they said that because for prevention of criminal and gang activity. And one of the reasons why they extended to 90 days is because the gang and shoot up the commissioner of police house. Now, and I've known of state of emergencies in Jamaica. So it seemed that, and like you shared in Trinidad and Tobago, SOEs were used during colonial rule. So it seems that SOEs have become this latest response to criminal actions. And the point you're making, as in Trinidad's case, for no current political administration should be the Pan-Africanist representation. So that think one time, then get in a power as it relates to African descendants, racialized as black people, they have one better quality of life. So I want to know your take, Brother Ako, on SOEs being used, it would appear, through the English-speaking Caribbean over and over again. And sometimes you don't get no reports of violence, so some people seem to think, well, guess SOE work. But then not to talk about the violation of the human rights, like the brother would have jail without representation. I mean, a whole string of violation once SOE get declared, because then your constitutional rights get banned, and then the state could come up with new laws, new regulations as benefit, with no public education campaign, with no meaningful people participation. So what are your take on this? SOEs are like the latest thing for people in the English-speaking Caribbean, response to crime, as if they don't know how they create the crime.
Well, it is not only about crime, it's a political tool. And the fact that you have to declare a state of emergency is a political failure, right? Let me just read something here before we go on, right? What happens in a state of emergency? One, detention without charge. Individuals may be detained without formal charges for a specific period if deemed a threat to public safety or security. Detention orders are subject to review by an independent tribunal to ensure fairness. When they tell you independent tribunal, it's a bunch of establishment stooges who are aligned with the state and who will lock people up, which is what has happened. I myself have been arrested by the police for political activity on more than one occasion. So that's two. Curfews and movement. Police and military personnel enforce curfews or restrictions on movement. Individuals found outside during restricted hours without proper authorization can be detained or fined. Okay? Search and seizure without warrants. Security forces may conduct searches of persons, vehicles, or premises without needing a warrant if they suspect illegal activities. This power is aimed at preventing threats or recovering illegal items such as firebrands or contraband. Do you know what they used this for in 1970? To seize books. If you had a red book from Mao Zedong, they took that. If you had Fanon book, they took that. If you had Che Guevara book, they took that. Right? It's called subversive literature. So it is not just about crime. It is a political tool to maintain repressive control over the state. Right? So they will seal books. So we used to have to hide our books. So that out of your house, put it under your bed and in trunks under your house. So that because if the police came and saw you with Che Guevara book or Fanon book. It was even said at one time, Eric Williams, Capitalism and Slavery. The Prime Minister instituted the state of his book. You couldn't, the police will take it from you and lock you up for having that literature, right? And the control of public gatherings. Public gatherings or protests may be prohibited or limited to prevent disorder. Unauthorized assemblies can be dispersed and participants may be arrested. I saw that myself. Just a few of us hanging out during the state of emergency. We were in the street that lifted some aspects of it, and we went out, and three of us were speaking, and the police told us to disperse, and we were resisting, and they literally pulled guns on us. So these things are not about crime. These are political tools that we inherited from the colonizers, right? In order to maintain repressive control over the society, right? And I don't think this is any different. Crime to me in this context is a pretext. You understand what I'm saying? So we, and we have always said this, we need a different kind of political and economic system. We have a political system in which, in some of these Caribbean territories, these men are still dressed up in wigs, and these British wigs, and the speaker have a wig, these old, ugly, colonial artifacts. And it tells you the mentality of the people who run these countries, that 50, 60 years after independence, we still have these British leftovers, right, as part of our political culture, right? So it tells you that there is no engagement of the population in the politics, okay? And when you disengage the people, you are going to find means outside of legitimate political assets to control them. And this is what I think is part of the situation here with this state of emergency. But I mean, we are in a very bad way in the Caribbean, right? Very, very bad way. I mean, you go to any Caribbean territory, and you hear it's either crime, different kinds of dysfunction, right? And our leaders don't have any answers. They are merely puppets serving the interests of the previous colonizers and the current colonizers, the multinationals who control our economy, right? And that's why I said at the session last week, our academics talking about post-colonial and post-colonialism. We are not post-colonial. We are neo-colonial. It's a new form of colonialism. This is what Kwame Nkrumah said in his book, right? Imperialism, neo-colonialism, the last form of imperialism. This is what we are experiencing, and we are being deceived. And you made a very important point about the role the media plays in miscommunication. It is not miscommunication. It is miscommunication is a kind of, it is lies and propaganda. That's what it is. Outright lies and propaganda. Propagandizing falsehoods and other kinds of ideas to keep us mentally and spiritually enslaved. And that is what we are dealing with in the Caribbean, right? We are culturally undermined in every area. I remember a principal friend of mine is giving me a story. He was talking to a class. The teacher was missing, so he went to the class to teach the class. And he was talking with the students in Trinidad about what fruits they like. So they asked him, also the fruits they were saying they like were apples and grapes and all the foreign fruits. So then they asked him what fruits he liked. And he said, well, he loves sapodilla. And I know he really loves sapodilla. He has about 3 sapodilla trees in his yard. And when he said he loves sapodilla, the children said, oh, Geet, so you eating that? As if it was something nasty. So so you look at how our taste patterns have changed. Our local fruits we don't want to eat anymore. Our local foods we don't want to eat anymore, right? So now we have a situation where we are totally dependent on foreign foods for our consumption, which has the consequence of providing all kind of health conditions we are experiencing right now. And what is so sad about this is there is a book, I don't recall the title of it now, but Verin Shepherd contributed to that book. It's a study. And one of the articles in that book is how the Sunday market emerged in the Caribbean, right? And the Sunday market emerged in the Caribbean during the period of slavery. because Sunday was the only day that the masters, quote unquote, the slave owners, would give the enslaved Africans an opportunity to some leisure, right? They send them to church or whatever. But our ancestors used this period to grow crops, right? And they would grow crops. That's how the term ground provision. They were given what is called provision grounds, right? That's how the term ground provision came. That's why in Trinidad we call plantain and grain fig ground provision, but even though it grew up in the air, but it came from the term provision grounds. And so the enslaved who planted will either exchange with each other or and so on and so on. And that was the beginning of the Sunday market in the Caribbean. Now, you have to understand the vision of our ancestors in the process of enslavement to look at a system in which they could share goods with each other, right? And all of these things we don't know, right? Because that history is not being taught, right? So we have moved away from diets that have kept us alive and healthy for 200-300 years and consuming things that are making us sick, right? And that is because of the culture and the values that the media in particular facilitates and promotes, and the politicians facilitates by policies that make it easy to undermine our indigenous habits and traditions, right? So you look throughout the Caribbean, right? Less and less farming is being done, less and less of our indigenous foods are being eaten. You understand? And we are just consuming this garbage from North America and elsewhere. So it's very important that we have an understanding of these things. You understand? If we are to remove ourselves from this trap of neocolonialism.
We have to take one quick break, and I know I really did hag up for a lot of your time this morning, Elder Akko, but just bear with me. We're going to take one quick break, and then I'll come back and ask you one more question, and then I'll ask you to say a final thoughts, and then thank you for your time. Quick break.
All right, okay.
Welcome back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Last Monday of the Gregorian calendar 2024, we have with us via Zoom Elder Ako Motota from Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome back, Elder Ako. Question: to a great extent, the people have to take responsibility for failed leadership. The people of the Caribbean. So, what are you doing with that?
Yeah, yes, the people, the old saying that the people deserve the government they get, right? But you have to qualify that in the sense that the people don't exist in a vacuum. People are socialized, they are culturalized, people have hopes and dreams, and by and large, the mechanisms of the state can be used to inflict harm on the people. And so people know sometimes what must be done, but sometimes they're unwilling to make the sacrifices because they look at their children. What will happen if I were to do something politically? And you live in societies where the state is very vindictive and petty, and will harm you for saying simple things. So while you say yes, the people are responsible. Yes, they are. But we live in the real world, and people have real problems and needs and hopes. And so people are cautious, right, about taking action that could cause them to lose everything. So what you have is that we try to hold on to what we have, but in trying to hold on to what we have, we are perpetuating the very system that is responsible for our own misery and oppression. So those are the periphery and the margins of the society who sometimes don't have anything, don't have a certain kind of consciousness, right? What they do is they engage in criminal activity. So what you are seeing is that the criminal activity is really a manifestation of political failure, right? Now, you have to understand why that has happened. For people like me, who in our youth, I became involved in the movement at 19 years, right? We were terrorized, locked up, put in jail, ostracized, lost your career. You understand? So people see us and they admire us for what we do, but then they're like, we are cautionary tales. Don't do what that guy did. You may not have a house, right? I mean, it got to the point where I'll give you a story. I was in love with this girl as a teenager, and madly in love with this girl, and went to her mother's house as a good guy to see her hand. And they just told me that because of my involvement in the movement, I couldn't see their daughter. I mean, so these are real things. So so yes, you can say that the people should do better, but the people are ordinary human beings with grandmothers and grandfathers and children, and they know and they see from example all of our leaders who have tried to do better were victimized. In Trinidad, it was Uriah Butler, right? Locked up by the British, right? In Grenada, it was Marisho, right? In Jamaica, it was what they call the four H's, a Hart, Hill, and I don't remember the two other guys, right? They were incarcerated by the British, right? Ostracized. And then when Jamaica was about to get independence, Norman Manley, who was the leader of the PNP, where these guys were, he expelled them from the party. So these are real experiences people have. So I I understand what you are saying, but the people are disorganized because every organization that has served the people and that intends on serving the people, they are either brutalized, some of the leaders are bought out, or they are terrorized. And so this is a problem we have in the Caribbean. And that is not to say it is hopeless, right? In Trinidad, for example, where I am, even though I'm not there now, I'm visiting, I'm traveling. In Trinidad, we sought to build an organization. And one of the things we found that could bring people together was the issue of heritage. So we looked at heritage as a model, and we built a heritage organization in a particular community, right? You understand? I have been involved in the cooperative movement. I was a member of the board of my credit union, and our assets grew to about 500 million TT dollars at a particular point. And so we help people with housing and different education and so on. So we have to find ways to mobilize people and to give people hope. And it is in some of the existing organizations where we can go in and chart a particular direction, because and the reason I cited the cooperative movement, I just heard there's a cooperative that advertised on this radio, right? It sponsors the program. So the cooperative movement, and you have to understand, that is a people's organization. People don't understand this, right? A credit union cooperative is not a bank, even though we are trying to change them into banks. The difference with and I was an education officer, a member of the board in my career, and several committees. And I've always had to explain this to members, because our leaders and people who join these organizations now, they want to turn them into banks. They are not banks, they are people-owned institutions. And I, as in the education committee, would explain that to people all the time. The difference between a cooperative and a bank, and if you'll allow me to just explain a bit, is whereas a bank is controlled by a minority, a cooperative is owned by the members, right? It is owned by the members. That's the fundamental difference, right? And what is called dividends is, let's say our credit union had 10,000 members. We give loans, okay? And we charge maybe 8%, right? After the expenses, you pay your whatever taxes and whatever. The rest of the money that remains from those profits, if you want to call it that, is divided among the members as dividends, because we own the institution. In a bank, that profit goes to the shareholders. And so the cooperative is a model that we should be following. But our governments are trying to destroy the cooperative movement in the Caribbean. I mean, in Trinidad, we pass so many laws that is almost impossible for an ordinary man to hold a position in the credit union, because they want to professionalize it. So the same people who are in the banks and the same people who are, to use a word, excuse my language, screwing us literally economically, those are the people who they want to now run the cooperative movement, when these things were formed by regular people. Now, if you look at the basis of African economics, the basis is cooperative. We have something in Trinidad called susu. I don't know what you call it in Belize, but I know it exists, right?
Syndicate. I believe they call it
They call
syndicate.
it box. They call it box in Grenada, and somewhere in Cameroon they call it, I think, tonton or tontine. But so it's a system of cooperative economics, which is what the modern credit union should be. But they are moving it away, and because we are not vigilant, right? They are making these things into banks, just as how the banks are taking it away from the people, right? So
Let me get your final thoughts, brother. Akko, I have to go to a break again, but before we go to break.
okay. All right, so that's what I'm saying. So it is not enough to just say, well, yes, the people the people are there, and the people need to take responsibility. But the state has terrorized them for so long that sometimes they're apprehensive, and they have created divisions among us for so long that the people sometimes can't organize as they should. And that is what people like you and I, we have to find ways to organize the people for effective and productive purposes.
Respect Elder Akko Matota from Trinidad and Tobago. You all can expect to see him this Sunday, January 5th, along with our guest scholar activist Guyanese brother Nigel Westmas. Elder Akko, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, energy, wisdom, sacrifices you make for the liberation of African people. See you Sunday morning, brother. Have an awesome day.
Thank you for having me, Sister YaYa.
Break time. Welcome back to Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. And thanks to everybody who are tuning in. I have to race now, right? Definitely from the Zinc Fence, offering condolences to our brother Roger Anthony, who transitioned and whose funeral service will be today at St. Martin's Church, beginning at 10. The viewing is at 9. And then also to our sister Helen, who worked with us for a period of time. What time, Sister Helen, funeral? That is afternoon at what time? It'll be at St. Martin's Church as well. So condolences to both families from Zinc Fence. People who are well known and appreciated in the community. Now quickly, I know say nothing moves me, have me, hold me accountable, that is, for not to say nothing about Sugar and Cream 34th New Year's Day cycling race, 34th year. Official station prizes, when it talk about cash, it ranged from $100, $200, $300, $500, $1,000 in a cash prize. I also tell you some of the official station prize, right? 2 months weightlifting and toning, 25 pounds butane refill, 2 haircuts, 7 C's gifts package, food hamper, gift package worth $1,000 from 2 of the main phone providers, raffle ticket for a house valued at $100, gift certificate for $200, 1 sheet valued at $100, 1 night accommodation for 2 with breakfast in Boroboom, meat value at $50, gift basket with cycling gear value at $500, gift package valued at $1,000, 1 case of Marin sharp pepper sauce plus $150, 1 night accommodation for 2 with lunch in San Ignacio, and 1 night accommodation in luxury suites for, but you know, definitely one bully that is station price. So give thanks to all the sponsors. They were recognizing during the broadcasting of Commemoratia 35th cycling race from the Honda to the Boulevard. Where's that? 34th, yes. What time, Sister Helen funeral? I'd wait for them to tell me that what time Sister Helen funeral today at St. Martin's. What time? 1 o'clock today, St. Martin's, Sister Helen funeral. I never get the name of the security guard. I know Rappa was the security guard when I came in. Who is it right now? Shane Flowers is the security guard right now. We want to thank Christy Flowers, Master Chief Operator here at XTV, and Harlan Wagner. I'm going to say Harlan near around the last time, and he hold me accountable right there. So Harlan Wagner, the Chief Engineer. Cliff Lewis have one, they're on vacation, and he deserves a vacation. And we have downstairs in Commemoratia, we have Larry Guerrero, known as Larry G. We want to thank the people then with tuning, the brother with Colleen from Belmopan for keep the Ramna race, and other family members who have lost loved ones due to murder with allegations pointing towards police officers, and other people were losing their family members and get justice for the deaths, that it up to we the people for keep their name in the news in the news stream and not stop for hold ourselves and others accountable. We had Elder Akomotota from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm going to expect out a Sunday review for 2025. More guest conversations from within the Caribbean region, credible community workers, representatives. And so definitely give thanks for Zinc Fence, for the space that we have, for being in communication with people, because the media is extremely important. And I brand Zinc as a community media house. In the interest of all Belizean people, but never forget to say, it starts off with the interest of one group of African descendants racialized as black people, known as United Black Association for Development, Cultural and Political Organization, 1969 to 1974. I want always give thanks to ancestors, the elders who are still living, for the vision, for have this needed space, for make we could share what we share. So until tomorrow morning, we're gonna have one fantastic day, and remember say, only the people will save the people.